So we talk about the Nine of Cups in the tarot, which is one of the very interesting cards in the entire deck. The Nine in the suit of cups, in the suit of water, which is basically the water elemental or the water tattva, the Jala tattva. The Nine in the understanding, the Nine in the understanding that I have in the Sacred India Tarot is that the card's energy is an upsurge. The energy goes up. In certain cards, the energy goes up. It's a quality of the number, it's a quality of the stage and the life destination that I have explained very carefully in my book, The Sacred India Tarot. But the Nine of Cups is certainly a tremendously high upsurge. Now, this is what the card looks like. We call it lotuses because the lotus is a spiritual symbol in our culture, and as well as the fact that it fits into the water element, the water vibration, instead of having cups, because we are not a cups people per se. So the Nine of Lotuses. And in this case, it's a very interesting card. It is a marriage of Shiva and Parvati, and Brahma is the priest, the officiating priest. Now this card is very famous. This card is very famous in that it is called the wish fulfillment card of the time. And when I looked at it, I realized that, at least from a yogic point of view, the answer is very clear why it should be the wish fulfillment card. Because the three major gunas are operating over there: Rajas, Sattva, and Tamas. Because Shiva is the white energy, which is the sattvic energy. Parvati is the dark energy, which is the tamasic energy. Tamasic in the sense of stabilizing. And Brahma is the red energy, which is the rajasic energy, the energy of getting things done. So when all three function perfectly or harmoniously, not equally, there is no need that all three will function equally. When all three function perfectly or harmoniously, we get a state, we get a possibility, we get into a zone of possibility, we get into a zone of potential things that could happen, provided we keep our effort going, we keep our optimism, we keep our positiveness. Now, in the manifestation literature, no matter which age it comes from, no matter which part of the world it comes from, this one thing is very clear. If you wish to manifest something, you have to be in a positive frame of mind. You have to be happy, you have to be grateful. In our context, in the card, there is a wedding taking place, which is supposed to be the happiest day of your life, whether it is so or not. But that is the universal expectation. You are happiest when you get married, until other things happen in life. So this sense of happiness, this sense of pleasantness, this sense of well-being as a prerequisite, as a foundational setting for things to happen, is very clearly understood. And in most of the representations of the tarot also you will see that. This is in that sense an immensely lucky card. This is in that sense an immensely fortunate card. It represents a stage in life wherein, with very little effort, just by sheer luck, things fall into place as you would wish them to. Things happen, things transpire as you would wish them to. And that is not normally the case in a human life. Normally we sweat and we struggle and we strain and we push against things. And in this case, there is gati, there is flow, there is the whole process of transformation which happens easily. Now, naturally, when you have so many positive things coming out, there is a dark shadow side. And the shadow side of this card can best be described as, think of a fat middle-aged playboy who thinks he's still cool, and you have the notion of the shadow side of the card. You know, a person who has completely deteriorated to just indulgence and just in pleasure, which is why one of the very significant negative meanings of the card, one of the very significant negative warnings of the card is the potential for alcoholism or an already established drinking problem. And very often that goes hand in hand with sort of spiritual delusion, that the person thinks I'm very spiritual, which is probably true, but it's probably alcohol that is the spirit that is going in, not the Holy Spirit. so so we need to be, in that sense, it's quite strange, because it's such a positive, harmonious vibration card. It's a card that a lot of people do magic work with, a lot of people do willful intention with, a lot of people do manifestation work with, and at the same time it has this. But if something is so powerful and so utilitarian, so useful, and it has the ability to bring your wishes to life, then naturally it will be misused. So that vibration, that negative vibration, which is very strong, it is not actually strong. It is strong because people tend to become negative, and people tend to take shortcuts and do unethical things to manifest whatever it is that they wish. So that desire to hold on, that desire to hold on to something which has probably past its expiry date. I'm talking in terms of desires. Very often we wish desires to manifest which are simply not appropriate anymore for us. That usually activates the negative vibration. But overall, it's an immensely positive card, because the natural upsurge of the energy is upwards. Now, if you do something through your willful misuse of the energy, then naturally that upsurge turns negative, turns dark, and goes downwards. So then you start getting into trouble. But usually it's a little difficult to make this card into a dark side. The sort of life situations that play out when this card comes are usually positive, usually hopeful, usually happy, usually with exceedingly good news for the future, usually with things that I've been wishing this to happen for a long time, and it has just magically and suddenly happened just when I had given up and I had stopped worrying and thinking about it. So that is the basic nature of that, the energy of the card. So in a reading, even in process work, personal psychological process work, this is a very important and significant card. Many tarot schools actually say that when a cups cards come, when a lotus cards come, that is the answer to your question, that is the answer to your situation. You should stop the reading at that time. Now, I don't agree fully with that, but yes, very often the emotion, because cups or water are basically emotional cards. So if the emotional power is vibrating in the situation, in the snapshot that you're taking, the interior snapshot that you're taking, which is the purpose of the tarot, then yes, you do get the answer. And in this case, the answer is not something that you recall. In this case, the answer is something you feel exceedingly happy to receive. This is one of the very few cards where, yes, the downsides, though quite strong, are also difficult to activate. So one need not scratch one head over this card. It's actually quite a simple card. It's actually quite simple to interpret when it comes up in a reading. And in the Sacred India Tarot, of course, there is no negative dark side about it. It's a purely sattvic card in that sense. It's a purely positive vibration in that sense. Sarvam Shivam.